Well, the ATF tries to screw gun owners once again, and Trump steps in and says, how about...
No, 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 no.
That's what we're going to look at today as President Trump makes his stance very clear on a very popular thing that millions of Americans have once and for all. I actually thought this had gone away, and I know a lot of people did as well, until it was brought up recently this past week. And one thing that you will see is this Department of Justice and Trump's administration has been very clear when it comes to firearm rights and the infringements that have been placed upon us. Today I'm going to tell you how all of this panned out for gun owners, what could have affected millions of gun owners, what could have been a pretty dangerous precedent for all of us was actually struck down by Trump. And so we're going to look at that today. And of course, I want to hear your opinion. How bad do you think this could have been if it was actually pushed on through? Let me know what you think down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Remember the whole pistol brace fiasco? Yeah, a lot of us do, right? And it was a rule that was set to basically make millions of Americans felons overnight. And through injunctions and lawsuits and of course the new administration, I don't know that anybody's pretty much been thinking about this thing. It was actually one of those things that was brought up to the attention of Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice and direct the ATF to remove rules and infringements just like this. But this past week, it actually popped up once again. So here's some conflicting things that I see. You have, according to some reports, he was acting erratically. Now, what I saw on some of the live streams was him basically doing First Amendment stuff, right? Because he was close to Obama's house, though, of course, this is an area that Secret Service is watching, but they also know who Taranto was. He was involved in January 6th. Now, look, I said it before, I'll say it again. Did some stupid things happen on that day? Yes. The vast majority of these people were walking in the Capitol, though, right? Police were walking them around the Capitol. So he was arrested for that. He was actually sued by the family of Officer Jeffrey Smith because Officer Smith ended up, unfortunately, taking his own life a couple days after the Capitol. And so the family tried to say that Taranto was directly involved with what Officer Smith did, even though that was eventually thrown out. It's really hard to say that Taranto was the reason that Smith ended up doing what he did. But this is also a guy that served in the military. He was honorably discharged. I think he served, like 4 years. And according to reports, he actually had successfully been working with a mental health therapist and a psychiatrist through the VA. So that's a little bit of a background on him, but again, I don't want to focus too much on that. I want to focus on the gun part of this, because this, even though not the main charge, could be the gateway for other people that have these types of pistols to be charged as well. The problem was, and how the whole pistol brace thing came up, is that he had a CZ Scorpion in his car with a brace on it. So they charged him with unlawful carrying of a firearm in DC, and also the fact that he had a handgun and a short barrel rifle. Problem is, he had a handgun and another handgun with a brace on it. This is a definition, according to the ATF, at least for, at least a decade, is acceptable, right? The handgun, when detached from the pistol brace, is under a certain length. You add the brace on, that does not turn it into an NFA item according to the ATF. So what he had really was a handgun and a handgun with a brace. And this is kind of the problem. To people that don't know and they see this gun, they may think, oh yeah, that's a short barrel rifle. But it is not. These are the terms and definitions and all that the ATF has been using since the Gun Control Act of 1968. And of course, going back to the NFA of 1934, right, where they banned SBRs. But for like a decade, they said that this handgun, you can attach this brace onto it and it's perfectly fine, right? Most gun owners already know this. Well, apparently there's still some anti-gun Biden agenda agents at the ATF. And even though they've been largely focused on actually stopping criminals, there's still some holdouts over there. And so the story resurfaced where he was still going to be charged with possession of essentially an SBR. Now you may say, well, how can they enforce this because this rule has been overturned? The ATF has been directed that you are not to enforce this rule whatsoever. Well, some ATF agents still think that they can go off of the statute in which the rule was written. Now remember, this is the same administration where it just recently came out that in the name of safety and domestic terrorism, they were willing to go even further with restricting so-called assault weapons and so-called high-capacity magazines, even looking at your social media accounts if they thought that you or me were actually up to no good or we could be potential dangers to ourselves. Even looking at medical records, this is the extent they were trying to go to shut down your rights, and actually going to states and encouraging them, however they do that, by force or whatever, into adopting red flag laws. This just came out from the Dig report Tulsi Gabbard actually released this past week as well. Same administration playing the same types of games with your rights. Not only looking to affect the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment as well. But when the Department of Justice actually seen this, and of course with so much attention brought to it from people making videos and sharing posts and stuff, the Department of Justice basically just announced that they are dropping that part of the charge. Now, although there's still going to be a gun charge on there with him illegally carrying that gun in DC, and of course there's other allegations against him, we're not really focused on that. That part of the charge, the whole SBR part of it, has been dropped. This is very good news. First of all, it kind of proves that this Department of Justice, this administration under the direction of President Trump, is serious when it comes to protecting and restoring rights and eliminating infringements that have been placed upon us. It also brings to our attention that there's still some rogue agents inside of what has been a very rogue agency, especially over the past 4 years at the ATF, that need to be fired today. And with a new ATF director that was just announced, Dan Driscoll, this is really going to be telling as to whether he looks at these agents that are still there, vets them, and gets rid of the ones that have that Biden-era anti-gun agenda still in the back of their heads. And if Dan Driscoll wants to make a point to gun owners, because it's kind of largely unknown what he's going to do when it comes to Second Amendment rights. Just how much of a Second Amendment guy is he? Largely unknown. But for him to make a statement like that and come out and say, hey, not only are we removing infringements, rules, regulations, getting rid of certain laws or trying to get those things passed through, but also getting rid of agents who, if this agency is going to stick around, should have one goal. As long as they're there, they should have one singular goal, and that is stopping criminals, helping ICE, that type of stuff, not focusing on gun owners. This is a big moment, I think, for President Trump, how he views the Second Amendment and these infringements and some of this holdover stuff from Biden and actually getting rid of it. So pretty big win for gun owners, I think. And of course, I want to hear your opinion about this down below. Good move, bad move? Let me know what you think about Dan Driscoll as well, because from what I've seen, there's really not a lot out there when it comes to his actual feelings of the Second Amendment, but I have a feeling we're going to find out how he really feels about it. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.